Welcome everybody to this version of Coronavirus Update International Service Drive Revolution. How you doing, Adam and Jeremy? Good. Okay, today we're going to talk about WHIP, which I'll tell you what WHIP stands for later. We are going to talk about some focus groups that we just did, books that you guys are reading, and upcoming training. I'm pretty excited about this. You guys don't look as excited as I am. Okay. Woohoo! So we did 3 focus groups with the market team. We learned a lot of stuff, very good feedback and positive feedback to help us create training and to help the dealers. You know, the thing I have to say, of all the manufacturers that I've worked with, you guys are by far and away breaking the molds as far as there isn't this crazy factory agenda that makes no sense. You're really tactically trying to figure out what needs to be done on the ground and then creating stuff. And the feedback from the market teams was all the work that we put into this, and all of your, mentoring and toolage and bugging me to death, Jeremy, seems to have worked, because you bugged me a lot.
Oh yeah, and I will continue to do so. Yeah.
Can I see the outline? Can I see the outline? Can I remember all that?
Oh yeah. I'll totally do that again. It got good results, so I can't.
No, yeah, no, that's the thing.
Did you guys say that it's okay to bug people?
Oh, hey, Christian.
What?
Hello, everyone.
Our hacker.
I was going to tell you about my new diet. I ate a clock yesterday.
Oh, why would you do that, Christian?
It was very time consuming.
Bing, bing.
Oh my.
Thank you for that. So, one thing that was fun is that the came up a couple times that we need leadership training. And little did they know we have leadership training coming, which is pretty cool, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then some other notes of things that we're going to incorporate and work on, but all very, very positive. What was your guys' take?
I really liked how they were impressed with the training, but they still came up with things on how to make it better. That means that they were paying attention and that they really thought about the training after they took it. And they listened to the service managers after they talked about it and really thought and really processed that. There's nothing worse than there's nothing worse than people saying, well, yeah, it was great. Okay, what did you like about it?
No, they had real articulate ideas and opinions about it.
Yeah, I appreciate the engagement. The engagement we're starting to have with our field is great. I wrote a few things down. Some of the stuff that they'd like to see more to help support when we talk about leadership, right, was the conflict management aspect and some of those type of things, working with customers. And I think one thing that really stuck out to me, and I wrote this down, is you don't fix your efficiencies by passing it on to the customers. So I think how engaging our field folks are into our training and engaging with their service managers and other various customers, that's crucial. So like you said, we're breaking kind of the mold, and I think we're doing that together. And for my short stint with the company, I haven't really seen that as much, as far as I've seen it more happening now. And it's going to be quite interesting to see how that grows as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and most manufacturers out there, I feel like you guys are young and progressive, but most manufacturers out there will record training that already is outdated by the time it goes up, and then they'll leave it up for 5 years, where you guys are trying to proactively give the dealers the tools that they need to be successful, and listen to them, and not create the training that you want, create the training that will help them and be most effective on the front lines, which it gets me super excited. It really does, because it's making a difference, and it's incremental, but it's making a huge difference. And I think it's only getting better as we go.
For sure, and it's really been an organic thing, and I really like the fact that everyone here has the same perspective, is that training needs to be continual. It's not like, okay, took the class, now everyone is good. And we don't need to do anything with it for 4 to 5 years. Exactly your point. We need to keep redoing it. We need to keep looking at it and reflect the environment in the industry that exists now, not the one that existed in 2005.
Yeah. Anything else, Adam, from your notes?
Oh, I was just going to say one insight that I picked up from in all the various discussions that we had with the field folks is that, I think the message that we all heard from the service managers is them going into it, whether the web-based or the virtual or hands-on, they were kind of going in, yes, it's a criteria for Diamond Edge, kind of making checking the box. Yeah, and then once they go and attend it or participate in it, coming back, the insight from the field was, hey, I enjoyed it. If I would have known that I was going to get that much more out of it, I would have gone in regardless. And I think that's what's good about this, and we want to continue to evolve and change as time goes on. Because like you said, I mean, the training, the core of the training sometimes doesn't really change. It's how it's being perceived or how it's being deployed. We can add different elements. I mean, technology is always changing, right?
Yeah. We're not taking for granted that it's mandatory. Once they get that, we're really respecting their time. And also, I think the thing that we worked on really hard together was to create training that was relevant to a veteran or a beginner. Like a veteran that's been a manager for 20 years wouldn't go through it and go, oh, this is a waste of time.
Yep.
Really paying, respect to them, that if they're going to give us their time, we're going to give them some value, and they will. We promise you'll walk away with some new tools and a new way of looking at things, different than when you started, which was really important to us from the beginning. So we're accomplishing what we tried to do.
Very true. Absolutely.
So we have training coming up here on the 8th and the 16th, right, Jeremy?
Yep, we do.
Is there room in those, or are they full?
They're full to the brim.
Then why are we talking about it?
Hey, because I'm excited about it, Chris.
We're sold out.
Hey, Jeremy's got to be excited. Sorry.
That doesn't mean that we can't talk about it. Be excited about it.
We're sold out, kids. We're sold out. We have openings in September. When's our next opening?
Honestly, you probably heard it here first. We're probably going to be transitioning the July service manager training session to virtual only, because that's the environment we have going on right now. We will have a few spots open with that. They're going to open when they open up. So have a look at it.
Because that allows us to do more when we do it virtual?
Not that many more, but about 10 more people.
Yeah. So we don't think we'll be back to live room until September, October?
I'm hoping for August.
Quite possible. It's possible. We just have to take it in stride, right?
It's wild out there.
We're played. The cool thing is we're learning the online one too, and that's getting better every time. So they're oddly interactive.
I think the webcams really help. Like, you can't
What
hide.
book are you reading, Adam?
Well, I can't really show it, but it's virtual.
It's an imaginary book Adam's reading.
How to Get and Stay Motivated.
By Grant Cardone?
You got it.
So what have you learned from that
reading
book?
The book? I don't know.
Is it Audible or what is it?
Yeah, it's Audible. It was the quickest thing I could do in between diaper changes and still listening to it. The diaper changes are becoming more frequent now. Peyton's doing very well.
Don't blame it on Peyton. It's not her fault.
She's got Sweetness has got a lot. She's got big shoes to fill.
Well, I'll tell you right now. I almost got hit by the bazooka this morning at about 2 a.m., 3 a.m. twice.
What's that mean?
Just gonna.
Explosive.
Yes, just shooting out.
Yep, that's the thing that happens when you have kids.
I dodged it. I dodged it very quickly.
Did you have to do the full dodge, or were you able to just sidestep it?
Sidestep and hand up with the other old diaper.
So it was a block?
Nice work.
Yeah, it was like a block side, kind of thing going on.
Wow, reflexes.
Oh man, I guess they talk about you're just gonna get some weird reflexes, and it doesn't matter how tired you are. Oh yeah, that came into play. Anyways, how to get and stay motivated. I figured this was a good book in the kind of realm of our little opening of certain things and trying to sometimes, find some motivation on these next steps and opening up of, regardless if they're just businesses around or going back to work. I know, Navistar is trying to figure out ways of going back to work incrementally back in the office. And I'm sure there's plenty of businesses out there, like Illinois is technically trying to open up this week, right? So one thing that, there's 3 things that really stick out to me in this short book. And it's real quick. He just hits real quick, or I should say Grant Cardone hits real quick on certain items. And what stuck out to me is willing to fail. I think in different aspects, we talked about Huddles, not too long ago, and trying new things and willing to fail. But I think what really sticks out to me when you talk about willing to fail, when you keep pushing and making things happen, failure is really kind of isn't impossible because you never really stop, you never really give up. And we talked about, his last book in 10X, just keep putting more action and keep trying and pushing it forward. And if you're willing to fail,
that's
you really
not what
are
we
going to
said,
succeed.
Adam.
What?
That's not what we said.
What we
when
said?
we were talking about his book 10X, that's not what we said.
We're not going to say
massive action. Oh, well, yeah. You threw me off there. Thanks, Chris. I didn't know that you took some notes from Christian, the hacker. But yeah, so basically failure is impossible. And I want people to think about that when we are coming out of this pandemic or continuing going back into the workplace or trying to get to a new norm. Is like we have to take an approach that failure is almost impossible and trying new things. And even if we feel like they're not working, keep going at it and just keep adding more action. So like the next point is looking and at controlling time versus managing it. I think we always talk about certain skill sets as managing time. How can I manage my time better? And he puts it into an aspect of, let's just keep focusing on eating minutes and having 15-minute blocks of time, not necessarily, just managing it, but controlling it. So it's something as simple as getting up earlier and putting some massive action into certain 15-minute blocks, whether it's something work-related or even going and working out, doing those little things. So for me, one thing that I'm trying in the light of all this is just to read more books. He actually has that as one of his points, but I'm trying to read more books or listen to more books. I feel like I don't have a lot of time, but I want to control it. So when we're at our service locations, all we do is sell time. We talked about the P&L statement and indirect time, right? We need to control it. We truly need to control, I believe, our labor, sales, and our hours when we go into these shops. And if we're not controlling it, is managing really going to be, in my opinion, is it going to be that successful? I'd rather control the narrative and control it rather than just blatantly managing it. And then the third thing is keeping stats on everything that's important to you. So obviously we can talk about business related, but everything into our side, our self and our lives, right? So workouts, money, investments, we should be keeping track of all of it as far as in statistics. And then that's the only way, if we have some sort of benchmarking, we can improve on that. If you can't really measure anything, if you're not measuring anything, how do you expect to improve? So those are some of the things that I think it's really interesting. And he keys into this is that what we don't measure, it's kind of a mystery, right? So we need to get out of this chaotic mystery mess. And I feel like in some of our service locations, I've been to dealers before, and when we're not measuring certain things or certain items, whether it's performance or financials or we don't understand, it's a mystery mess. So like, one of the things I know that, Chris, you've said before, and we've talked about in our service manager training, is that, I'm probably going to screw this up, but the way I take it is, how you manage anything is how you manage everything. Well, I kind of like to change it a little bit. It's like how you manage anything is how you control everything. And in the light of trying to control time and controlling the things.
Wait. Slow down. Say that again. How you what?
How we control anything or how we manage anything is how we control everything. I don't know if this is going to come and bite me in the butt.
He's writing it down,
on, but
so it's obviously
yeah.
It's changing his life.
So, by the way, the quote, the real quote, and I love this, is how you do anything is how you do everything.
So I only take bits and fragments, and then I put them in
No,
my
but
head.
how you control anything is how we control everything.
Sure. I feel like we've talked about enough about controlling the narrative, controlling the situation. I think we're here trying to humanize ourselves, from a corporate aspect, right? We're just kind of regular guys trying to improve the industry and trying to share some tips that what we like to focus on with our service locations. And I think we really need to control the outcome when we get out of this pandemic or whatever this new norm is, and we share these tools, and we truly, I appreciate what you said earlier about, us from an OEM perspective, but really, like, if we don't do things differently or we don't focus on these things, we're just going to be doomed to be in this chaotic state or this mess, this mystery mess, right? And it's just
and you're always going to be a victim to circumstance.
Yeah,
Yep.
And today's day and age is just quite interesting to say the least. And I could just be rambling on because I've only had maybe about 3 hours of sleep, but I truly believe in this, and I think working together
Are you
on this stuff is
hallucinating?
going to really, maybe.
I have a feeling
You're
Christian's
definitely
coming in.
rambling. There's no
Good,
doubt
thanks,
in my
Christian.
mind that you are rambling, and it's all about sleep deprivation.
Thank you.
Since you have the sleep deprivation, you'll think this is great. Adam, I spotted an albino Dalmatian yesterday. It was the least I could do.
Wait
I don't
for
get
it.
it.
Wait for it.
And
He spotted a Dalmatian. It's the least he could do.
Oh,
Put spots on an albino.
which then reminds me too, because I'm feeling all naturistic today. Why do tigers have stripes?
Why do tigers have stripes?
So they can't be spotted. And one more. I'm going to do a threefer here.
Oh,
Doing the
3.
triad. Horse walks into a bar. Bartender says, "Why the long face?"
I don't know why that's funny.
Takes a minute.
It's just fun.
We have our own Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
So funny.
yeah.
We do.
It's that same thing, right? With Norm, like you kind of gotta wait for it. Like it takes a second to get it.
Bam.
That's awesome. I like that list too. It's good. Cool. Jeremy, what book are you reading?
Well, I am perusing again. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by who?
By Robert M. Pirsig.
In case anybody just wants to run out and get that right now
You should.
to your
Change your
local
life.
bookstore.
So basically, a dude goes on a motorcycle trip across country with his son and a couple of friends. So basically, he rides an old motorcycle. He rides an old Honda 250. I have one that's like it, and it requires a lot of understanding to operate. So you have to like really pay attention to the motorcycle, make adjustments when you need to, and you have to really understand how to maintain it. And he goes into when it begins, it's just like a road trip book, and then it goes into like more and more about like how to maintain an old motorcycle and how it's not a straightforward thing. You really have to put a little bit of artistic thought into it. You have to start solving problems. You have to do things that work. And he contrasts that with his friend who owns a BMW, and he doesn't do anything to it, doesn't know anything about it. So, like, basically the art of maintaining the motorcycle versus the straightforward, just this is a thing that I ride, and when it dies, then I'm not going to ride it anymore. And then over on, as the book progresses, and they go to different places, he goes back into he thinks more and more about what quality is, what the concept is, because it's not really an ironclad thing. It means that different things to different people, but he tried to define it. And eventually he gets so focused on what quality is that he loses his mind a bit. And in the end, it goes into kind of a story about how he kind of moves past that and how he grows as a person because he's thinking of these concepts. And there's just a lot about it, and it kind of shapes a lot of my view on how I look at things and my view of what quality is. And before I read it, like, you kind of do, what you're told to do. You do what the instructions say. But now when I approach any project or any kind of topic or anything that I'm supposed to do, I try to do my best at it. Try to do what I consider to be quality. And it takes a lot more work. It's hard to do, but I think I'm a lot more satisfied with what I do in my job, as well as when I do maintenance on things, or when I do anything, is I try to do it with a thought of quality.
Would you go as far as to say how you do anything is how you do everything?
Yeah, I'd say.
Or how you control anything is how we control everything.
Yeah, also
it's oddly very similar to what Adam was saying, right?
Very similar. It's
attention to detail.
It's almost like they're the same person, except very different. But anyway, it's a very.
I don't know.
Book.
I feel like I'm hallucinating there, Jeremy. I'm hallucinating.
You know what? What I know from my interrogation training is that after like 52 hours of no sleep, you start hallucinating. Did you know that?
No.
Well, now you know. So when you hit 52 hours and you start seeing Indians or like, flying pigs or whatever it is in your weird, demented mind, well, Christian's weird, demented mind, then you'll know you hit 52 hours, you might need a nap.
Yep. What are you reading, Chris?
So what you're saying, Jeremy, from the book is like the attention to detail, putting your heart into it, and then it kind of takes on like a soul. It means it has more meaning? Is that a good interpretation?
Yeah, I mean, it even goes into that if you're a machinist or a mechanic, if you can approach that with an atmosphere of you're conducting art, because you're making a thing that doesn't work and you're making it work. And a lot of times it requires solutions that aren't necessarily in the instructions, especially if you're working on older stuff. So I think that that perspective has shaped a lot of the way I look at life.
Yeah, I like that. I think that anybody that does anything at a high level, whether it be a mechanic or somebody in customer service or a chef or a great waiter or a great salesperson, it's high art.
Yeah.
Because it takes on another level, right? Like, I remember when I used to wear suits a lot and ties, like this guy that I would go to, Duke, like he could almost guarantee that I was going to get a compliment with my outfit, but also it was then how I felt about myself and my confidence, and it was how people felt about me when I came in the room. And so his salesmanship took on another level that transcended just the clothes in the store, right? Mm-hmm. And so same thing like you're saying, like a good mechanic, if they do a good job, and then the family or the driver that's driving that truck or whatever, their safety, their efficiency, their on time, whatever it is, takes on a whole bigger thing, and then they can feed their family, or they can send their kid to college, or they can pay off their credit cards, whatever. It has like a bigger impact. Mm-hmm. And that's high art in a lot of ways. It transcends just the commodity or the action that is taken, right? Or like same thing with like music. It's like an amazing song. Like you hear AC/DC Back in Black, and like sonically, the production, the song, it takes you back to an emotion or a time when that song, reminds you of things. Yeah. And it's the same sort of thing. Like it has purpose and meaning beyond just in that moment. Is that what is that kind of what he's saying?
Yeah.
Sounds like a cool book.
It's a very good book.
How did you hear about it?
I don't even know. It was so
just
long
Amazon
ago when I
suggested
first heard
it.
What's that?
Just Amazon suggested it.
Oh, it was before Amazon when I first picked up this book. It was a while ago. I think I just saw it on We either saw it on the shelf or I heard something about it mentioned in a show or something like that and picked it up.
Cool. That's great.
Very cool.
Okay, and now we're going to talk about WHIP.
Yes, we're going to talk about WHIP.
What does WHIP stand for, Jeremy?
Work in process. One of the things
What, the H is silent? How does that go? Work in process. Oh, maybe it's just spelled WIP.
Yeah, it's just spelled WIP.
Yeah.
It's not.
There's no H.
There's no silent H. There's no WHIP.
So you know the thing I know about WHIP? You know what I know about WHIP? You guys might want to write this down.
Do I want to know what you know about WHIP? Is there?
No, I'm going to tell you, Jeremy. You're going to write this down. Write it down.
I have
Just like fine wine, work in process gets better with age.
What?
The longer
No, it's
ROs
more-
sit around, the longer they're not paid for, collected, the
No.
better the stories get, the more money
It's
you
more
can
like golf.
collect.
It's more like golf. You need to have a lower score. Less is good. That means you're getting more out.
I hate to disagree with you, and I hate to agree with Adam, Chris, but yeah, I think he's more accurate.
Is it possible that that was my attempt at humor?
I think it is. I don't know.
Hard to
your
tell.
humor, man, it goes above my head so much.
It's a little dry.
You're the one that's got the interrogation training.
Yeah, so you don't really know like what I'm thinking or what
No.
I'm doing.
Mastermind.
But it's true. It doesn't get better with age.
No.
You got to
It's,
have a system in place for that to go. It's always harder to collect. I don't know. In the years, I don't know how many service departments I've gone into that have hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in a drawer. Mm-hmm. It's not going to get better.
No.
Then the tech is gone or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
the truck is gone. The story's different.
It's
One
It's
analogy
crazy.
that I've always used is that, the service location isn't a storage or a bank, right? At least with a bank, you might get some sort of interest with it. Might not be very high, but it's just money sitting there. And you're right. As time goes on, the story of what was happening starts to get lost.
yeah.
You don't really know what happened in it. So it's not a good situation to be in, and just to be tackling it each day. That's why, all this stuff, the method to the madness, we talk about huddles. In the huddles, you should be kind of reviewing your whip.
Absolutely. And it's like we've even talked with a few service managers that think, well, I've got trucks in my lot right now. That's money in the bank. It's not. It's inventory that ages faster than anything else. You really need to take care of it right away, because not only the fact that you're keeping yourself from making more money from having more throughput, essentially you're not producing great customer satisfaction because you're having customers that aren't having their trucks back when they should. And it's just hurting you twice. Not to mention it's harder to collect on older ROs. That's known. So basically this action plan, which is the work in process action plan, it teaches you how to set up a process to where it will separate your repair orders by the status. So it'll separate them into diagnostic, waiting on either estimates or waiting on approval, waiting on parts, and then the completed ones that haven't been filed yet. We have templates for each one of your major DMSs, dealer management systems. We're also working on tying this closer to International 360 too. So and that's our online communication platform, to where basically at a glance you can know how many repair orders or jobs you have in each status, and you can move around resources or focus on those categories that have a lot of stacked up work, just to make sure to keep it going. I mentioned a few weeks ago about the goal and about identifying your bottlenecks.
The
and
book, the
reducing
goal.
them. This is a cornerstone of that. You can't manage what you don't measure, and this measures your work so that you can, from there, prioritize your bottlenecks and reduce your dwell time.
What were you saying earlier, Adam, about tracking what you care about or what matters?
Yeah, there's a mystery mess, and you need to be able to organize it a little bit. So if you don't, keep general stats of a lot of those things, there's no way to progress of it. And that's a lot of thing with the whip. Well, with I360 that Jeremy was just mentioning, That's a newly created program that we've deployed, a few months ago, but the adoption's been great. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for our service managers or service advisors, dealer principals. This is your whip. If it's used correctly, the statuses are changed in a timely fashion. It's a communication tool for the customers. You can eliminate phone calls, but most importantly, you can actually use this as a tool to kind of manage your whip in your service locations, and it's there.
For sure.
It's free.
Yeah, a lot of times I see when I go into a service department that has a whip that's out of control and disorganized, it's kind of like they have an illness, but they think that the illness will go away by ignoring it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't. You got to track it. You got to look at it every day. You got to know, you got to hold people accountable. You have to have a system for it. And I would say that you should also set kind of a system for yourself where you close everything out on the 15th and everything out on the end of the month. Just the end of the month isn't enough, but on the 15th, you should have every advisor, every tech answering where this is, and you should be figuring out statuses and what you can do as a leader to help move things along.
Yep.
But at least twice a month, you should do a deep dive and touch every RO that's more than a week old and know exactly what's going on.
Yep.
And then at the end of the month, like if you're not down to a handful of like 25 or so, like your systems are broken in the shop. Like you're not getting your throughput. Like you can tell your throughput by your open ROs.
For sure. Absolutely. Yep. As long as you're measuring them and looking at them properly.
Well, the different buckets, like you were saying, like waiting for approval, waiting for parts in the shop, ready to go, done. But you need to know all those statuses, or you can't have an effect on the outcome if you're blind.
You can leverage your huddles or your discussions with your team in the morning if you have them separated in these type of statuses. So if you have waiting on parts in your huddles, you got your parts manager there.
Parts manager doesn't care, Adam.
Why? They got to get paid. Joking. They have to. We have to. One team, one Navistar. See, this is where I'm getting loopy. But anyways, when we have these discussions in these huddles, this is where everybody knows what kind of the game plan is for today, right? And that's what we use the whip to control that, or i360 for that matter, if we write up all of the trucks. And then we can control the narrative, control the stories of what's being shared with the customers way before the customer has to call in. So that's where if we're leveraging these tools, we can definitely get ahead of a lot of that stuff, controlling the situation rather than kind of managing it in a way. I think it all ties in together. And we talked about last week, right, with Billy is just, trying to understand where some of this time is going, if we can truly control all these different operations. And one thing, too, is I've seen some whip reports where they have in each individual repair how much time the technician actually has into that job, so you can help manage the shop and its efficiency a little bit better too. So we don't have to just have each repair and who's assigned to it, but you can elaborate a little bit more, not only the statuses, but how much time's in those repairs, so you truly know you can use this as a tool to manage the shop.
It's great. If you put these systems into place, it'll make your job a lot easier as a service manager.
Yeah, it's a system.
Mm-hmm.
So systems are like lubricant, right? They make everything easier. It's intuitive, and it's also a feedback loop. You know how to get better, how to improve, because you have measurables.
Absolutely.
Love it.
It's good. Well, good job, you guys. How we do anything is how we do everything, and I think we did a pretty good job.
I think we did too.
Would you give us an A, Jeremy, or what would you say?
A plus.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've had an A plus. I wasn't that good of a student. PE, I did really good in PE.
What was your favorite sport in PE?
Water polo.
Really?
I bet you didn't think I was going to say that. Yeah, we had water polo.
I suck at water polo.
I loved water polo.
I've never played.
Maybe the best shape I was ever in my life, too.
That is hard.
It's hard.
Sport.
It's fun, though.
Is that like Marco Polo? Is that like Marco Polo?
No, bro, it's like full contact. Imagine being under the hoop in basketball, like fighting underwater, playing soccer. That's what it's like.
Just brutal.
It's fun, though. We had this goalie. He was so good. You couldn't get anything by him.
I don't know that the rest of us were that good, but is that the ghost of Christian past?
I'm hacking in that water polo is no joke. Like, that's a real sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun.
I like dodgeball.
That was a subject at your high school, dodgeball?
Oh, it was
part of
sport in
PE.
PE.
Oh, we had weights or just regular PE where you do different things, probably dodgeball, baseball, stuff like that. And then we had water polo.
Wow.
And swimming. I guess we had swimming too.
Yeah, we didn't have a pool.
Okay, you guys, do me a favor. Stay safe. Have a great week, everybody. We will see you again next week.
Indeed. And we might just get on a special guest.
Revolution! Yes, we might have a secret special guest for you next week, so tune in. See you later.
Guys. Thanks again.